If you just do it, it'll turn out okay. Welcome back to our dinosaur miniseries.
Yes, hello, folks. It's been a little bit. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yep, you know my normal guest on this day, Dr. Dino.
Yep.
But as you see, there's another name next to his.
Yes, I'll get into that in just a second. So for anyone just tuning in, today we are going to be talking about the Marginocephalians, a very interesting and special group of dinosaurs. Your classic horned dinosaurs and your pachycephalosaurs. And to talk about them, we have invited an expert. She is one of the state paleontologists of Wyoming, a fabulous paleontologist and teacher in her own right, and my best friend, Vanessa Weaver. Would you like to tell them a bit about yourself, Vanessa?
I like dinosaurs.
How long have you liked dinosaurs, both personally and professionally?
Okay, so professionally, I've been doing them for 16 years. But I was born the day they started filming Jurassic Park in '92, and I never stopped loving them.
I was 12 or 13 when that movie came out.
Really?
Yeah, I had a crush on the girl the Lex girl.
Oh, Adriana! I went to her wedding.
Yeah, Vanessa here knows just about everyone who's had anything to do with any of the Jurassic Park movies. You've worked with and in quite a few museums too.
Yeah, I've worked with the Museum of the Rockies. I worked on the first Jurassic World. So if anyone's seen Indominus Rex, that's my baby.
Cool. So what's your, from 1 to 6? What's your ranking of the movies?
First one will always have my heart. Always also be the scariest, the opening scene. When you're young and it's like, shoota, that's always going to be the scariest part. And then I think we're back in business. That's always my top one. And then, okay, as far as Jurassic Worlds go, I don't even want to talk about Fallen Kingdom because the Brachiosaur and the Ceritopsians that are going in the water catching on fire. No. And then Dominion, where the grasshoppers? They were I told you about. Okay, so that's actually a real thing that happens. When I was working north in Montana, the grasshoppers did catch on fire and then would hop around and catch other fields on fire. So that's a real thing, but just not to that extreme
that you see in the movie.
Yeah, not like what you see in the movie.
But you've had a hand in all of the Jurassic Worlds pretty much, right?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of the Jurassic World stuff. Indominus Rex is my love. Mm-hmm. I wanted to call her Diabola Rex, but they said D-Rex was too dirty. So we scrapped that. And then everything was all iPhone at that point. So they're like, the iRex. Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't it sponsored by Verizon?
Yeah, sponsored by Verizon. That was such a crazy time. My bad, grasshopper.
So, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about a special group of dinosaurs today. And so, Vanessa, how many of these things have you worked on in the Marginocephalians? Can you name the genre?
Do I have time?
Yeah. Yep. We have all the time in the world.
Real fast, by the way.
Sorry,
go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is Vanessa's YouTube debut.
That's true.
Yeah. I got started on WY Paleo for anyone that hasn't seen.
Yep, it's going to be linked in both my and Vandalia's descriptions of the stream. Just starting out, help her grow, please.
Yes, apricot. Habits don't count as animals. Well, how do you feel about your Chihuahua?
I mean, Chihuahuas are just...
They're hybrid. All dogs are hybrids, technically. They're just not the way I put them. It's not like I didn't make the Stegoceratops. Yeah, that one was a nasty one.
But with real marginocephalians, which genera have you worked with?
I work mostly on Pachycephalosaurus and Triceratops.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah,
big two.
And she's going to have a lot to say about both of them later on.
that reminds me. Originally, this episode was going to be about the Ceratopians things, but with her addition onto it, we decided to combine the clades together into the super clade.
Yes. What distinction is marginocephalia? Is it a family?
So that's all the way through the Cretaceous.
Well, I mean, like, is it a family distinction or?
Oh, distinction? I thought you said extinction.
Well, I know they went extinct.
Obviously. Chicxulub.
I don't know. Maybe parrots are marginocephalians.
Well,
Little Satacos.
so are little Satacos. And yeah, no. It's a lot of it.
All right. Well, would we like to get started with the presentation?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right.
Alrighty.
So, first question, real fast before starting.
Oh, you're right, Apricot. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Apricot's right. Taurosaurus and Trikes are the same thing, and I'm going to get into that near the end.
She is going to have fun with that.
I'm
Don't
gonna
worry.
so much fun.
So, this clade here, how connected is it to the clade we did last month?
The marginocephalians? That's a good question, actually, that can be seen or answered with this slide here. So really quick, ornithischian dinosaurs. Ornithischians are one of the major groups of dinosaurs. The other ones being saurischians, which are your meat-eating dinosaurs, your theropods, and your sauropods. Ornithischians are pretty much everything else. As far as we know, most of them are herbivorous. Some might have some omnivorous tendencies, which we will talk about. It's okay. But within the ornithischians, there are a few big divides. So in our last episode, we talked about the thyreophorans, which include the ankylosaurs and stegosaurs. And in this episode, we're moving up the tree to the Ceropoda up here, which is a combination of Ceritopsian and ornithopod. It's a portmanteau of those words. We'll be following this branch over here today, the Marginocephalia that leads to the Ceritopsians and the Pachycephalosaurs.
All right.
Don't you worry, Caden. We will get into Torosaurus and Triceratops. Or as Vanessa likes to say, Tauromorphs. But we'll get into that. Don't you worry. Also, I'm just going to tilt my camera down a tiny bit.
You say morph, like morphin time?
Tauromorph, well, we'll explain it later. Let's see. Shall we get started on the Marginocephalians?
Sure.
Alrighty. So, as with every clade, pretty much, Marginocephalia can be split up into different parts. Now, as for when they came about, they probably evolved sometime in the mid to early Jurassic, but the earliest representatives we have are from the late Jurassic. These being little ceratopsians like Yinlong, which isn't in here. Most of them are Chinese. We don't know if they originated there or if that's just where they're preserved. The fossil record is weird. But they start out as these kind of generalist bipeds with hard heads. That's pretty much a defining feature of the group. They have really robust skulls with a pointy beak, and they have a shelf on the back of their heads. Hence the name Marginocephalia. They literally have an extra margin on their heads. So, margin head. Ceritopsians, the branch that leads to Triceratops, they eventually get much bigger, they get bigger heads, and as they get bigger heads, they become quadrupeds. With that said, we do still have some bipedal ceratopsians all the way to the end of the Cretaceous.
Mm.
And the other branch of the marginocephalians, the pachycephalosaurs, as far as we know, they're all bipeds too. And in fact, a lot of them have really tiny, dinky little arms. But the weird thing with them,
Dinky?
they're dinky little arms.
They're kind of dinky.
They're T-Rex scale arms.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they lose any fingers though, do they?
No, they have a bunch of fingers.
Yeah, which is weird. So they have to be using their hands for something, I guess.
Yeah, grabbing you this heart.
Anyway, the oldest pachycephalosaurs we have are weirdly enough from the end of the Cretaceous. The oldest one we know of is Wananosaurus from China, go figure. And it's only 70 million years old. So 4 million years from the end of the Cretaceous. Every other pachycephalosaur is within that area.
So these are late dinosaurs. This clade didn't begin in Jurassic or Triassic. This is a late starting clade.
Well,
Cretaceous.
we would expect the first pachycephalosaurs to be in either the late Jurassic or early Cretaceous. They just don't show up until the late Cretaceous. But we can tell that they are early diverging marginocephalians. Likely older than one of the first dinosaurs we'll actually talk about, Psittacosaurus. Yeah, those are the marginocephalians.
Dinosaur train.
Dinosaur train has been mentioned, yes. So hello, paleoanalysis. Yes, this is one of Vanessa's friends, and I've recently become a fan of your videos. You need to get out of the Triassic, man.
Yeah, he said that. He wants to get out of the Triassic. Get out of your circle of Hell Creek.
Oh, Hell Creek's not going to be for like 2 or 3 years.
That's a joke.
Okay.
Mine's the creek.
Oh, okay. Anyway, if you like dinosaurs or other paleo stuff, super recommend that channel. They're great. Anyway, for our marginocephalians of the evening, we're going to be starting here at the base of Ceritopsia with Psittacosaurus. Psittacosaurus, or the taco for short,
Psittacosaurus.
is a tiny and adorable little dinosaur. And weirdly enough, it's super well represented. It's found all throughout Asia, mainly in China and Mongolia. And some of the formations it's from are weirdly good at preserving fossils. Case in point, this fossil here is of a Psittacosaurus from the Yishan Formation, which we'll talk about a bit more later. This fossil is so well preserved, it has original keratin in these little quills on its tail.
Mm-hmm.
It has beautiful skin impressions with original color preserved as well, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, this is something you never see in the fossil record. But fossils like it have given us a great view of what Psittacosaurus would have looked like in life. More or less, exactly like this.
Yishan Formation.
Yeah, the Yishan. And we have hundreds of individuals of Psittacosaurus too. We have tiny babies. We have full adults. Yeah, hello, Al. And we even have senescent adults, so really old, elderly individuals. In fact, I think it is this fossil, actually, that preserves the cloaca of a Psittacosaurus, which we've never seen before in any other dinosaur.
Ew, I love it.
Yeah, same. And interestingly enough, because we have so many Psittacosaurus and the formations they're from are so good at preserving fossils, we even know what ate them. And one of the things that ate them is kind of unexpected. See, last year, there was a fossil published that shows a small mammal, Rhipinomammus, fighting a Psittacosaurus to the death. Now, we don't know the background of this fossil. It could have been actively hunting it, could have been a mother protecting its babies. We don't know. But this is a trend we see with ceratopsians. For some reason, this group tends to die locked in combat.
Keep going.
Oh, what's that?
So our
No,
family.
shoot.
I mean, a cloaca is.
It's a everything shoot.
That's true.
So our family and their family are bitter rivals.
Well, at least with Psittacosaurus, yeah. If anyone's curious and wants to look this up, the mammal pictured here is Ripetta mammoth.
Yes. So can I just quickly comment?
Go ahead.
So apricot, my little sweet little apricot, my darling Clementine. So I specifically asked my
Doc.
pal here, Doc Dinah, to put Carrie Woodruff on there. So if you want to look up on PLOS One or anywhere else, Carrie Woodruff did the burrowing dinosaurs, and if you ever get a chance to go to the Museum of the Rockies, you can see a clear display, but there's also a paper on it that Carrie Woodruff did.
Mhm.
But it's so crazy.
And we actually have evidence for burrowing in a rather wide selection of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Psittacosaurus may have been able to burrow. Most animals have some ability to dig, at least. But there's also dinosaurs like Eryctodromeus, which we found in their burrows. A bunch of other smaller herbivorous dinosaurs that we've just... a lot of them, it seems, died when their burrows flooded.
I haven't seen many done with theropods or small theropods, but it's
Me neither,
like,
but I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. But it's the smaller, like more four-legged.
Yeah, small
dinosaurs.
herbivore dinosaurs. They seem to dig a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of makes sense.
I mean, look at your dog. Your everyday dog.
Look
It
at
digs up to the fence.
A dog, a rabbit,
A rat.
moles. Though I don't think
this against the mammals. Caffeine and nicotine and like chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some more caffeine real quick.
Chocolate and peanut butter tonight? You should slow it down.
There is chocolate in it.
Well, here we go.
I had something in mind, but I've forgotten it. But yeah, you're fine. But yeah, this fossil here, this is a picture of the real fossil. The Yishan Formation is absolutely bizarre at how well it preserves its fossils. And when we eventually get to theropods, we'll be visiting this place again. Because there are some unbelievable early birds and little theropod dinosaurs known from this formation. And one very big theropod that's covered in feathers. But that's Psittacosaurus. This is our look at the basal ceratopsians.
That reminds me. So, did this group have any feathers or pre-feathers?
You want to talk about this?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, if you insist. So, as you can actually see on this fossil here, Psittacosaurus had quills. Now, these would have been very, very basic feathers. Really, they're just hollow tubes coming out of the skin. But they are a type of feather. And when this was discovered with Psittacosaurus, it really opened our eyes to how deeply nested the tendency to have feathers is within dinosaurs. Since Psittacosaurus, we found it in much more primitive, or I'll get to that in a second. But there is a small herbivorous dinosaur from Russia called Calindodromeus, covered in a coat of feathers. As Caden just mentioned, Eutyrannus, a tyrannosaur, covered from head to toe in feathers. And we have 3 individuals of Eutyrannus, and all of them had feathers. So it's not just one weirdo. But But since we have obviously birds, theropods with feathers, and we have ceratopsians and other ornithischians with feathers, that really suggests that the ancestor of all dinosaurs may have had feathers. And it may go back farther than that, because at least a lot of
Choose
Sorry.
your next words carefully.
because the structure of pterosaur pycnofibers, which I've heard a lot of people are starting to just call feathers, are very similar to a lot of bird feathers. So the trait of having feathers may be ancestral
Mm.
to dinosaurs and pterosaurs. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a study that figured out that alligators can grow feathers too?
I'd be interested in reading that paper.
I'll have to.
So all
I will-
archosaurs then,
Good.
like archosaur trait.
Possibly. I can find the paper later if you remind me. But there was a study that found that by switching off a regulatory gene in alligator embryos, they could grow feathers. Caden might know the study, actually. Caden, if you could figure it out. Yep, yeah, he knows about it. If you could cite the authors, Caden, we can look it up.
Yeah, I'd like to see that because I study scutes. So I'd
Yeah.
like to see that.
Yes, which we will talk about very soon.
Scutes, but I'd like to read that. Okay. If you have a copy of that paper, if you could link it.
I don't think he has permission to send links.
Okay.
If you can just say the authors, Caden, we can write them down and we'll look at them in a bit.
We'll get a piece of paper.
Okay. It's really cool. I'm pretty sure it is just one regulatory gene. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get out of the early Cretaceous.
I think this is the first time we've been directly in the Cretaceous. We've gone through all the Mesozoic, but today we're just in the Cretaceous area today.
We got into the Cretaceous when we talked about ankylosaurs.
Well, I mean, we haven't been directly in this area.
Oh, starting in the Cretaceous?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. This group of dinosaurs, the Marginocephalians, they probably appeared in the mid-Jurassic, but we don't see them until the very end. It's weird. Oh, never mind. Caden was able to share a link. I guess he has permissions.
No.
Yep.
Modern genomics is an alligator.
Yep. Give us just a half
That
second.
makes sense.
Did they link the study?
Can you just copy paste? I'll say it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you super quick.
Thanks, Caden.
Yeah, thanks, Caden. Yeah, that'll be some fun reading for later, huh? And yes, Logan, if crocodilians could do this, then it's probably just a basal archosaur trait, which is really exciting, and also means that crocodilians are the weird ones for having lost the feathers. But anyway, out of the early Cretaceous, we're going into the mid to late Cretaceous with this next group. Now, at first, this dinosaur here in the top right probably looks pretty similar to Psittacosaurus. But there are some key differences. And, wow, I actually forgot the name of the dinosaur. Whoops.
What are you talking about?
It's a Leptoceratopsid. But
Yeah.
I forget. Anyway, there's this weird branch of ceratopsians that nobody ever talks about. And I find it really weird because they appear early and they go all the way to the end of the Cretaceous. These are the Leptoceratopsids. They're these small, frillless ceratopsians that you can find in Asia and North America. Some of them are bipedal, but a lot of them, especially the later ones, become quadrupeds. So if we go back to Psittacosaurus, The weird thing with this one is the adult Psittacosaurus were bipeds, and the juveniles were quadrupeds, which is really, really weird. With leptoceratopsids, a lot of them it seems to be the reverse, where they became quadrupeds as adults, as they got bigger heads, which Ceritopsians are want to do. And yeah, there's not a ton to say about them because they're pretty basal, all things considered. But no one talks about them, and I think it's weird. And some of them have really funny names too. Like this guy little here, or this guy right here, its actual name is just Gremlin. That's its genus name.
So can you feed it after midnight? And does it get multiply if you get wet?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Don't get it wet. Don't feed it after midnight.
Mm-hmm. But like I was just saying, ceratopsians have a tendency to get a big head, and probably because of that big head, become quadrupeds. Which we will see in all of the remaining ceratopsians. So, just a quick disclaimer, there are dozens of genre of ceratopsians.
Yeah, it's like Protoceratops.
Yep, specifically within the Coronosauria, which means the crested or frilled lizards. There are tons of them. Many of them have really wacky, identifiable headgear. They get bizarre. There's too many for us to cover, but if you want to have a good time, or maybe a bad time, just look up ceratopsian heads. It'll make yours spin.
Reminds me of putting together all those people, all those ape skulls together to show human evolution.
Kinda, but it's like if some apes just decided to grow a horn in the middle of their face and then merge holes in the face, because marginocephalians do this weird thing that I forgot to mention. So if you look at a dinosaur skull, you'll have
Tauromorph, paleo, tauromorph.
We'll get to that. If you look at a dinosaur skull, they'll have the eye hole, a hole in the middle of the skull, and a nose hole. Marginocephalians merge those two, and they just get a big hole in the middle of their face. And they also gain an extra bone, which I think forms their beak, right?
Yeah.
Called the rostral bone. It's really weird. I don't know why they do that. Maybe to get a bigger nose for a better sense of smell, or a resonating chamber for noises.
That's what's up. Okay, then.
But at any rate, we're going to start with one of the most basal of these coronosaurs, Protoceratops, which is probably a pretty familiar dinosaur to a lot of people, even if they don't know it by name. Protoceratops. Oh, go ahead.
No horns.
No horns on this one. It's a very early member of the group and seems to be from before they started growing horns. But it does have that big frill, which makes it a coronosaur, a crested or frilled lizard.
So they drink Corona beer then?
They might have. But Protoceratops was discovered in the early 1900s during an interesting series of expeditions to the Gobi Desert. These were led by Roy Chapman Andrews from the American Museum of Natural History. These same expeditions also brought back the original Velociraptor and Oviraptor skeletons, and just a lot of the interesting skeletons you can see at the AMNH, which I would highly recommend visiting. It's a good museum.
Oh, I have a question real fast.
Yeah.
Did they start growing these frill things? Was that a sexual selection thing or a natural selection?
No, it wasn't sexual dimorphism, and it wasn't sexual selection. They both have them, although in the female ones that we've seen, due to histology, we've been able to see that the females were bigger.
Oh, I didn't know that. And, I imagine there's been a lot of histology done on Protoceratops. Because
Yeah.
this is another weird thing with ceratopsians. Sometimes we'll find a few fragments of them. Other times we'll find entire herds preserved together. Protoceratops is one of those that is just found en masse. So we have hundreds of skeletons.
Okay, sarcastic Ceratopsid, I see you. And it should be mind-boggling, like when your mind's trapped in a bottle.
Yeah, we will talk about tauromorphs.
We're gonna get there. Wait.
When we get there, Vanessa is going to have a field day. For now, with this little guy, like I said, we have hundreds of Protoceratops, and you can kind of see they have a weird build. They have a giant head, some small forelimbs, though they are noticeably bigger than they are in Psittacosaurus.
God, I'm a Protoceratops.
And they also have this weird kind of tail fin, which is kind of odd.
Yes, Miss Apricot, or Miss. Yes,
Mr.
Apricot. Mr. Apricot, because they're a basal ceratopsian.
Mhm.
They're one of the beginning stages of ceratopsian.
Well, they are, but weirdly enough, they're also from the late Cretaceous. So
Yeah,
they seem to be a
because
late surviving
They
basal.
did that. That's what you get, Logan.
And Protoceratops is famous for another reason. That being a very famous fossil found, I believe, it was found by a joint expedition between the Polish and the Mongolian Academy of Sciences back in, I think, the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the fighting dinosaurs. I'll give you one guess as to why it's named that, Vandalia.
Fight Club?
We don't talk about that. Some references. But yes, as crazy as it is, these dinosaurs appear to have died and been preserved while fighting each other, which is absolutely incredible that we have that. But again, this is a trend we see with ceratopsians.
So was the fighting part of it sexual selection?
Maybe.
Maybe she's mad at her husband. I don't know.
Well, Paleoanalysis has a tattoo of this.
Tattoo of the fighting dinosaurs on you?
I'd love to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Say a bad word.
Velociraptor
is Protoceratops.
But like with the Psittacosaurus.
So there's actually two Tyrannotherium.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to the other one.
We'll get to it.
Anyway, we don't know why they were fighting, like with the Psittacosaurus and Rhepetomamus. We don't know. And we probably will never know.
You can't ask them.
Some people have... Logan has been called out.
What do you mean, Logan?
You said what his other channel's name was?
Sarcastic Ceratopsid.
Love your stuff.
We love you.
Anyway, don't know what sparked the fight. Maybe the Velociraptor was trying to attack the Protoceratops. Maybe it was stealing eggs because everything eats eggs. Or maybe the Psittacosaurus. Maybe the Protoceratops was just feeling oddly nippy that day. But regardless, we have the Protoceratops's jaws clamped on the Velociraptor's arm, and the raptor's killing claw embedded in the throat of the Protoceratops. We're not sure what killed them, but the leading hypothesis is that they were probably buried by a sand dune, because that seems to have happened a lot in the Gobi Desert.
ship that relationship.
Wait, which one? Oh, I see.
I ship it.
Also, so paleoanalysis. I haven't gotten my first tattoo yet, but I know what I want it to be. I want a Deinonychus skeleton in the Berlin Archaeopteryx pose. Because Deinonychus is my favorite dinosaur, if you couldn't tell by my YouTube channel.
You're not keeping me from my work. No one can ever stop me from loving dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, today is her day off. And also apparently with the skeleton, there's indications that the Protoceratops was being tugged away from the Velociraptor after they were buried. Again, not sure why, but it's a really incredible fossil.
Was that in Walking with Dinosaurs? What was the what was that in?
Dinosaur Planet,
Dinosaur Planet?
White Tip's Journey.
That's right, White Tip's Journey. I love that movie so much.
It's probably my favorite episode, to be honest with you. Anyway, let's get out of the Gobi. Because now it's time to talk about the most derived ceratopsians. All of these appear in the latest Cretaceous from about 85 or 90 to 66 million years ago.
Oh, question. These groups were these on your Laurasia, or are they on Gondwana, or both?
Laurasia. They've been found in Asia, North America. I think there are some scraps from Europe, but I can't name any from the top of my head. I don't think we have any from the southern continents. Which is kind of weird, but that happens sometimes in paleontology.
So they're Union, not Confederate dinosaurs.
Yes, they were on the right side of history.
Geez. Oh gosh.
Wait, what dinosaur? Never mind. I don't want to get into that.
Let's keep going.
Anyway, these derived ceratopsians, all of them have massive heads. All of them have big frills, though some are bigger than others. And just about all of them have at least one huge horn on their face. Some have up to 3, some have more. Caden says no chasmosaurians in Asia. I think that's true. We do have a centrosaurine in Sinoceratops, though.
Yeah. So Deinonychus and Pachyrhino, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Let me get to them.
And within these derived ceratopsians, there are 2 main branches.
I'm in the pipestone.
There are general rules that each one follows, but there are always exceptions, as with anything in biology. The centrosaurians generally have shorter frills and weird noses. And by that I mean they can have spikes or bumps. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, spikes and bumps. We'll talk about
the other group, the chasmosaurians, typically have big frills and brow horns. Some centrosaurians have brow horns. This one up here is Lokiceratops, which is a centrosaurian and has brow horns, but it has a big, weird nose.
So do we know what the horns are made out of? Are they bone? Are they like calcium?
All you.
Can we just get through this and get to my research?
I suppose.
Get to my research.
Hey, we will.
He told me to ask questions so the slideshow will last longer.
That's true.
So blame it on him.
But there's more going on with them that we'll talk about in a bit.
Osteoclast. Yes, they're bone.
They do. They have horn. They are horns. They're bony cores with a keratin sheath. Anyway, we're going to go over some of the neat centrosaurians first. So right here we have Styracosaurus. This is a picture of the holotype skull, so the first one that was found and described. And weirdly enough, Styracosaurus has a ton of individual variation. The frill can be very different between individuals, so can the spikes. There have been a lot of centrosaurians that have been lumped in with Styracosaurus just because they're so individually variable. For example, here's the holotype here. Here's another one that I can't remember the name of, but this one has asymmetrical frill or horns on its frill, and one side of its frill is partially filled in with bone, which is weird.
So are these the ones that these have the most horns of all of them, or they get even more horny?
Oh, why you gotta say it like that, man?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Caden has the name. This is Hannah. Hannah, the asymmetrical Styracosaurus.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's another skull.
Yeah. Love her.
Now, Styracosaurus is a more typical centrosaurine. And then some of them get weird. Because they have to. This is Ionosaurus, whose name I can never say correctly. Vanessa.
You say Ionosaura better than you do Psittacosaur. So
Psittacosaurus.
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 Okay. Stop calling her a taco.
But it's funny.
Whatever.
Vanessa refers to this dinosaur as a can opener.
Opener. It looks like it. Okay.
I
You
can't
use
disagree.
that picture, but their actual skulls are more like they don't have a curve to the front. They're more dibby
Yeah,
inwards,
they just
and they
dip down.
look like a can opener.
Yeah.
So
They're
how,
weird.
so how did the dinosaurs can use their canning process in the Cretaceous?
Well, I don't know how many cans they were making in the Cretaceous, but if they did, this was it.
Was it more?
This was the one to open them.
I bet it was the Tyrannosaurs.
I bet it was the Tyrannosaurs.
So
Canned Styraco. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And again, like with Styracosaurus, a lot of individual variability with Ionosaurus as well.
Yeah.
That nose horn comes in a variety of shapes and sharpness.
See what Dinodom said? Told you. I told you so.
Latin's a dead language.
No, she's very much alive.
And then for one of the weirdest of the centrosaurians, we have one that lost its horn entirely and decided to gain a battering ram for a face. This is Pachyrhinosaurus. The big lump of bone on its face is called a boss. And Pachyrhinosaurus is another one of the ceratopsians.
Okay.
That has a
is short for yeah.
Well, isn't it a rostral boss?
Yes, but that's what boss is short for.
You sure?
Yes.
I've never heard that before.
So like the rostrum, the nasal part?
Yeah.
Boss. So they call it a rostral boss.
Yeah.
The rostrum is the boss.
The rostrum becomes the boss.
Yeah.
Okay, I
So
get
it's
you.
the boss.
Anyway, Pachyrhinosaurus, weird dinosaur, giant lump on its face, and it's another ceratopsian that seemed to like dying in massive herds. There are at least 3 mass graves that I know of for Pachyrhinosaurus. And the neat thing about them is we have them in southern Canada and Alaska, which during the time of the late Cretaceous would have been above the Arctic Circle. And from isotope analysis of their fossils, we know that they lived in that area year-round, including when they would have been nesting. So more likely than not, these guys might have been born in absolute darkness and not seen the sun till they were like 3 months old, which is crazy.
We'll get to that paleo analysis.
We'll get to that. And this also brings up a fun topic with this dinosaur specifically. Some people like to restore Pachyrhinosaurus as very fluffy. based on
Ugh.
Psittacosaurus having quills. You can see a line of them up here. That's an artistic choice. Some people take that to the extreme and just cover it with fur or fur-like feathers. I didn't.
Like baby bird down.
Kinda.
It was warm back then.
It was warm, but it still got below freezing in winter. It still got below freezing. And we know they nested up there because we have babies up there. It was warmer than today, but okay. Anyway, Pachyrhinosaurus probably wasn't fluffy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had at least some extra feathering to help with the cold. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I agree with the Tyrannotherium. Whatever that's a Tyrannotherium.
Tyrannotherium.
I agree with them. I told you, I said they're probably fat.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they had some fat, but
There's
I don't know. And it's one of those things where we just need good skin impressions of the fossils to know for sure.
So are you going on the debate channel now to debate this topic? Like you two going to get your debate going?
No. I am not, at least. I don't think we have the data to say for sure either way, but I think it'd be a cool idea. Anyway, now we're going to the other branch of the ceratopsids, the chasmosaurids. Again, these ones usually have big frills and brow horns, though not always. First off, we have Avaceratops, with someone you might recognize.
she's Ava.
Would you like to talk about Avaceratops, Nessie?
She's a baby. The Avaceratops part is cute too. She was a smaller, younger ceratopsian, as you can see by the scomosal spikes around her frill.
Right. I'll just highlight those for people who don't know. They're the little spikes up here.
Yeah, up on the frill. She had less venation than anything I've ever seen on a triceratops frill. And see how curved down the horns are? That means she's very, very young.
Really?
Yes, very young.
Do we have an age estimate for this specimen?
Well, I can't do my destructive paleontology on her, which is what they call what I do, because I like to break them open and look at their insides.
Vanessa loves to chop up dinosaurs.
Chopping up dinosaurs. They don't want me to cut open her legs, but I'm thinking she's less than 5 years old. Because when you're
already
a young
that big.
baby,
I had a dinosaur for lunch yesterday.
oh, it's a good chicken. But they had to grow big and fast
Okay.
to survive.
Well, I knew they grew fast. I just didn't realize it was that.
She's probably about 5 years old. One of the oldest ones we have is 36 years old. So
An Avaceratops?
no,
Or a trike?
A triceratops. But to get that big that quickly, your bones have to be super porous.
Mhm.
And the porosity in her is just very porous dinosaur.
Okay.
But that's one of your ceratopsians.
What formation is it from? Is it Judith River?
Yeah, she's Judith River.
So that's 70-ish million years old?
We projected she was 78 to 85.
Okay.
It's Judith River formation.
And Apricot Cat Mage is asking, didn't most have 3 horns? I'm guessing referring to Chasmosaurus.
So that's Triceratops. This is Avaceratops.
Yes.
She's a little bit different. And we only have 3 different specimens of her. And they all only have 2 orbital horns.
Mhm.
And each one is all pointing forward and downward. So they're all juveniles. Juniper?
Maybe one's named Juniper?
Maybe one's named Juniper.
Tyrannotherium's asking, how do you know this specimen is female?
So we don't. Technically, we don't know that it's female. It's just like when you get a car and you're like, oh yeah, she's a beaut.
So
If I'm Australian.
so no like sexual organs will survive the tell the difference.
We do have a Psittacosaurus cloaca.
Yeah, and then I worked on the B-Rex, the T-Rex that has medullary bone. So I have helped sexually select.
Do you want to explain
dinosaur?
what medullary bone is?
Medullary bone is only found in pregnant birds. So when they're an egg layer, that is found in pregnant birds, the egg layer birds. And that's our first and only ever sexually defined tyrannosaurid.
And we found it in, is it 4 T-Rexes now? 3 or 4?
Yeah, we're working on the fourth one.
Okay, but at least 3.
Yes, but B-Rex is the first one that's helped us define what is actually happening, which is pretty significant. So I'm not saying Ava Ceratops is a female. I'm just using her like the same way you would a car reference.
Yeah.
She's a beaut.
And as the host down here says, which I'm guessing is Vandalia. I'll explain that in a second. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. You can @ me, you can @ Vandalia, send in a super chat if you want to help support us financially. We're happy to answer any questions. We're here to help y'all learn and encourage you to learn too. This presentation will be linked in the description. So if you want to check this out and look up any of the sources, find out more, please do.
Yeah, Kaden, you're right.
Yeah, it's hard to sex most reptiles.
Just based on morphology, it's just
most of them aren't very sexually dimorphic. Robert Madewell's comment here, it's a reference to a creationist who says that Triceratops is just an overgrown Jackson's chameleon.
Get out of my chat.
He's referencing them.
I know, it's just funny. Boo!
Actually, the same creationist that my YouTube name is a parody of.
I'm friends with Mary Schweitzer, so come on, British.
That's true.
Give me your questions.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions about dinosaur soft tissue, she's the person to ask. Anywho,
It's a living thing, not a machine.
Next we have one of Vanessa's favorite ceratopsians. So this is Cosmoceratops. And Cosmoceratops is a fairly recent discovery. I think it was discovered in like 2010, sometime around then. And it's from a really neat formation called the Kyparowitz Formation.
Yes, Logan.
Logan is referencing one of the T-Rexes. So the Kyparowitz is a the Kyparowitz is a very remote formation.
See,
so it's kind of hard to study.
I said
I agree, it's a pretty design. I agree with you.
Saying I chose this design.
Yes, Vanessa chose the pictures for this.
So, do we know if dinosaurs were different colors?
Occasionally. So as of right now, really not. We're mostly using bird constructs for theropods, but we did find red feathers in amber.
Not just that, especially with feathered dinosaurs, because if the feathers preserve, they tend to preserve well. It's pretty common for us to get melanosomes, which can tell us roughly what pigments were in the feathers. We've also done this for an ankylosaur, Borealopelta, which we did talk about in our last one of these streams. There's some colors that you really can't get from fossils, like structural colors. Those are kind of hard to get. But we have some idea of some dinosaurs.
I know, sure. But other than mostly having red pigmentation and fossilized feathers in amber, that's our biggest indicator that we have thus far.
Mhm. Or if we really luck out and we get other, it's
I wish we could luck out.
I wish. Anyway, Kuiperowitz formation. It's only in the more recent decades that this formation has really been explored. Turns out to be very fossil rich with a lot of really weird dinosaurs. And I'm kind of excited for the ongoing research down there. Because there also seem to be a lot of Parasaurolophus too, which are one of my favorite dinosaurs. Mhm. And then,
I didn't listen to him. I have to go party.
oh, are you okay?
Yeah, but they just don't.
Sorry, earbud malfunction. But now we have, I believe, your favorite dinosaur. Did you lose it? Sorry, we're finding the earbud. But our next dinosaur is at least one of Vanessa's favorites, Triceratops.
No.
I know that's not true. Your Sarah plushie is right over there.
Oh, yeah, I should get her.
So Triceratops, arguably one of the most famous dinosaurs of all time. Everyone knows about it, but there are a lot of little things about it. This is her Sarah. There are a lot of little things about Triceratops that not a lot of people do know. As an example, Triceratops has 2 distinct species. And the weird thing is, they seem to form what's called an anagenetic sequence. This is when one species smoothly transitions into another. The older species is Triceratops horridus, or the horrible 3-horned face. These ones typically have longer brow horns with more of a curve to the, they tend to have longer brow horns and a smaller beak and a smaller nose horn. The later species, Triceratops prorsus, tends to have a longer nose horn and more curved brow horns. And Vanessa will have quite a bit to say about the curviness of the horns here in a little bit. But the interesting thing is, as we go up through the formations that Triceratops is found in, such as the Lance Formation and the Hell Creek Formation, it's a pretty smooth transition from one species to another. And it's amazing that we have enough animals that we can say we have that. It's really cool. Oh, we'll talk about Yoshi, Caden. We'll talk about Yoshi. Someone in this room might have personally worked on Yoshi. Anyway, there's a... You okay? Okay. So Vanessa's taking care of something, but when she gets back, we're going to talk about ontogeny, which is a subject that is very near and dear to her heart. If any of you have been following me for any length of time, you might have seen this poster here that she presented. That said, it looks like we'll have about a minute before she comes back. Do we have any questions from the chat about ceratopsians in general? Okay, Logan wonders what may have influenced that change. I don't think we know. Sometimes species just change over time. There doesn't have to be any significant pressure, especially with relatively small changes, like the proportions of horns.
Question?
I don't know. Yeah, good question. Tyrannotherium is asking how we know that female Protoceratops are larger than the males. I believe you said that was due to the histology? Is your ear hurting?
Yeah, I have bad ears and I can't really wear these very well. Yeah, you got a smaller one?
Yes, I've been trying to... Okay. Do you want to talk about how we know female Protoceratops were bigger?
So, Triceratops would have typically a wider pelvic region. And I would think that due to the sheer fact of the number of them that we have, the wider hipped ones, I would correlate that with females. That might not be
Here, you
true,
want to try
but
this?
that might not be true, but oh, that's so much better.
There we go. I could have done that an hour ago.
Oh, so it's been thinking an hour. Do you make a phone call real fast? You said an hour into the stream.
Yes, I need to step back and make a really quick phone call.
So
Would you like to
getting into my
talk about your research?
this is my pop off queen. Okay. So here we are. Ooh, this is so short. I need to be taller. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a little taller. So this is my research. And I will make sure that this is everything that we've listed is
In the link in the description and credited
yes, sir.
sources.
One second. One second.
Put it on call on you.
Yeah. I got tiny ears, man.
Maybe just get some headphone splitter. Get some headphones.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. So this is my research, and I have found particular new modern extant species that kind of do the same resorption as Triceratops and Pachycephalosaurs, which is very important because I did this with Tyrannosaurus too, with Thomas Carr, if anyone's aware knows him. So I worked with Bacher on Dracorex, Stygimoloch, Pachycephalosaurus.
Which we will talk about more later.
Yes. So there are 3 different types of dinosaurs that are horned dinosaurs.
No wonder
This
it's falling out. You have it in wrong.
What do you mean I have it in wrong? How
So that bump is supposed to wedge up against your ear
How?
to help hold it in.
Like that?
So you rotate? Yeah, like that.
Ew, I hate that.
tucks
I
in.
hate
Yeah.
that a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I had to learn to upside down. Otherwise, it always fall out of my ear all the time. Someone told me. "Put it upside down."
Ceritopsians are amazing. Jump ahead. So what's happening with ceratopsians, as you'll see later, if y'all stick around for just a little bit,
Mhm.
there's I worked on a whole ontogeny line of Triceratops for MOR for
That
the
is on
Museum of the
next
Rockies.
page if you want to go to it.
How do we go to the next
Just
page? No, because then I have to get in the Torosaurus fight.
Well, we can do that later.
Okay. Idiot. That's my baby. That's called Yoshi's Trike. That was the first thing I did when I got to Montana when I was 19. Is I worked on this tibia and the femur, and I dropped it, and it broke in half.
So with the ontogeny, so they changed quite a bit as they grew, right?
Oh yeah, they changed. I was trying to show the ontogenetic stages.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the next page. I can go
that was
to the back page. Yeah, I go back.
That one?
Meh. So, anyways, this is my research, and I show how different animals that are extant, like modern day living animals, are showing the same signs that Pachycephalosaur, Triceratops, and T-Rex did. So that purple stuff, that middle pic, that's a sturgeon. So they start off really spiky. Yeah, Tyrannotherium. I work for Tom Carr. Tom's nice. Weird guy. I love him. I love his black suits. But so I have found that Yoshi. I have found that other than this, there are certain turtles that do the same, certain sharks that do the same, and I'm working on a paper right now about that. So hopefully, a new paper will be coming out
Mhm.
soon.
And specifically, this is talking about bone resorption.
Yeah,
in these
bone
animals.
resorption. So I don't want to get too technical, but see the scalloping marks in the purple bit?
Did you highlight them with the mouse?
Yeah.
Like where the arrows are, right?
Yeah, where the arrows are in the purple bit. And then where the arrows
So
are
with
in
that-
all of them, they're all resorbing. And that's called osteoclast. And then osteoblasts build it back, which is why Pachy's lost their horns, which is why Triceratops lose their scamosa spikes too.
So this research is talking about
So-
how, as these animals grow, different areas in the bone are absorbed.
Yeah, and their
And
heads
disappear.
get bigger. Because no, it doesn't disappear, it's replaced. Osteoclast eats it away, osteoblasts replace it,
Right.
makes their heads bigger.
So do we know if this Yoshi had a long tongue too?
A tongue?
Like the character Yoshi. Well,
Yeah, Caden. He's
Is it
definitely
Mar-
part of Man Blind.
Mario reference.
and on this page, we can see the full sequence going from a baby in the top of the image to an adult.
Oh, geez. You meant like blum,
Yeah,
blum.
yeah, that Yoshi.
Okay. No, okay. So who's still in here wondering about Torosaurus?
Oh dear, there's gonna be a fight.
I'm not fight anybody.
Oh, I have a question real fast. The Bones. Were any of these dinosaurs thought about different species, but found out that they were like
Yeah.
juveniles or of the same
That was
species?
the God,
It's okay,
that was
it's
the
okay.
whole point. So Bacher named Dracorex Hogwartsia.
We're jumping ahead.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yes,
do we
they
want
are.
to just go to the
Yeah.
Packies?
Just go to the pack.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. So what we're getting into here are the pachycephalosaurs. These are once again, all of these are found in the latest Cretaceous. All of them. The oldest ones are 70 million years old. The youngest are 66. On this page, I think the youngest one is Pachycephalosaurus. And weirdly enough, they're very, very rare. And there have been a few hypotheses proposed for this. A very common one is that they may have been more upland animals. They may have lived in hilly areas or mountainous areas, which don't really preserve fossils very well. And when their heads fall off and roll down the hills, they become Cretaceous meatballs. And what was I going to... for a more modern example of this, and Vanessa's going to yell at me for this, we have one or two species of fossil goats, which are almost all upland animals. So we have a modern example of this exact phenomenon. That's the only comparison I'm going to draw to them. But we'd like to talk about a few pachycephalosaurs in particular. All of these are from a specific formation called the Hell Creek. Here's our first one, Dracorex hogwartsia. And yes, for anyone curious, it's a reference to Harry Potter. It means the Dragon King of Hogwarts. It's a small pachycephalosaur found in the Hell Creek Formation. It lived alongside Triceratops, T-Rex, and Pachycephalosaurus itself. And it's characterized by this flat-topped, very jagged skull. And Caden, don't worry, she's not actually angry.
No.
You're fine. For our second pachycephalosaur, we have Stygimoloch spinifer. whose name translates to the spiky demon from the river Styx, referencing that it is found in Hell Creek. This is a mid-sized pachycephalosaur that lived alongside Triceratops, T-Rex, and Pachycephalosaurus. It's characterized by a jagged skull with a little dome on top of its head. And our last one,
All these images are credited to Christopher D. Piazza, by the way.
yes,
Fantastic paleo artist.
absolutely. And yes, artist credits are up here in the top left. And our third Hell Creek pachycephalosaur is Pachycephalosaurus wyomingensis, the thick-headed lizard from Wyoming. It's a large pachycephalosaur found in the Hell Creek Formation. It lived alongside Triceratops, T-Rex, Dracorex, and Stygimoloch.
Gee, I wonder why it lived along Dracorex and Stygimoloch.
And is characterized by a bumpy skull with a big dome on top of the head. And now Vanessa is going to take the spotlight again.
I did this. This top picture, this little picture up top, I made those.
You took the
She
picture?
made that diorama.
Oh, you
No,
made that
I
wrong.
made them.
Ooh.
I put them back together.
So through work
Yes,
efforts-
Apricot. They're just a juvenile.
Yes.
I know. Yes.
So
So
through
did
work
you-
that
so you
Vanessa
did-
contributed to.
Did you dig?
Spirits Tyrannodirium.
So did you dig these guys up too? What was
Yes.
it? Nice.
I dug these up. I put them back together. And after doing histology, which histology is where you cut the bones into thin sections and you basically inlay them in a resin and do more thin sections, grind them down on a wheel, look at them under a microscope, you can see how they grew. That's what I did.
Mhm.
That's how I proved this in my research.
Oh,
So
and-
I will definitely attach my research to this and y'all can look it up.
But real quick, Vandalia.
Okay.
And so what we were talking about earlier with the bone resorption, she did work on the spikes and on the domes of these pachycephalosaurs, showing that going from Dracorex, in air quotes, to Stygimoloch, there's a lot of resorption going on those back spikes and the bumps on the skull. And then there's bone deposition in the middle, actively going on with the Stygimoloch.
Oh, I said that's. Sorry, I
We
said
joked
that's.
about that earlier.
I said that's at the beginning. I said that's at the beginning of the stream, but I forgot in my head. Have you discovered a brand new dinosaur named after yourself yet?
No.
Not one that we can discuss right now.
Okay.
So, really, sorry, that threw me off. So yeah, as you can see,
Who
the
made that?
spikes shrink from Dracorex to Stygimoloch. They continue shrinking to Pachycephalosaurus.
Which is what my research proves with several different animals.
Yep. And you can see that right here. They have these resorption pits that you also see on modern animals like sturgeon and turtles,
Turtles.
where their spikes shrink as they age. It's the exact same thing going
I
on.
love the fish hatcheries, man. What a wild time to be alive.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was pretty fun.
Yeah,
I'm really
imagine.
feeling my Stygimoloch things to try. Okay, well, guess what, little apricot. Love you, by the way. Caden, you are a tetrapod. I get that. So my research also through doing this, I proved that they didn't headbutt. There was really no physical way because
Yes.
it's not porous enough.
There's a later slide,
Oh
actually.
gosh, we're just skipping ahead. Oh, my other research.
Yes. And again, these presentations are going to be linked in the descriptions if anyone wants to go and read these themselves. This is
Yeah.
Vanessa's research.
There will be a letter description. Host is a shark. I mean a chordate. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, so this is all part of my research as well. I presented this in Berlin at SVP in I think 2017.
And what we're so what exactly are we looking at here? What are you?
These are slides, thin sections. I cut open dinosaurs. I make thin sections of skulls and I try to see like what's going on in here. And so they definitely did not headbutt.
Yeah.
No, I worked on Prehistoric Planet 2.
Well, your
And-
research was inspiration for it.
Yes, so Darren Naish, who did the Pachycephalosaurus stuff for Prehistoric Planet, that was my research.
Mm-hmm.
They don't head buddy each other, they joust. They never once boomed together.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to go back and rewatch her.
It's more like boxing than headbutting.
Yeah, they didn't headbutt. They didn't straight up boom together. But they jousted. Like I mean, not even as harshly as giraffes do or anything like that.
Which is probably why in the adults they have such reduced spikes. So they're a little less deadly to each other.
I know Tyrannotherium because I did it. Just saying.
You're the murderer. You did it.
I'm the murderer.
So that is the end of the presentation. Do you
I-
want to talk about
I
Torosaurus?
don't. No, apricot. I don't think it was. That down shape on the head is self-defense against. Yeah, everyone thought that too. That's why I do science. Darnish is a god. He's so sweet too. Are we going next?
So it's up to you. I think the only thing we haven't covered is Torosaurus / Tauromorph.
Oh god, I don't even want to talk about Tauromorphs. Okay.
Well, would
So
you like me
here's
to go over it quickly?
Dracorex Hogwartsia. They lived alongside. Well, you already did this.
Yeah.
And I love her. She's cute. I love her. Stygimoloch is even more cute. Yes, Logan, I worked on. Gosh, this one is that what you wanted to see, Logan?
So if
They weren't headbutting each other. Maybe you need to go back and rewatch it because they were like jousting side by side.
so,
Not once did they.
maybe you should clarify what you mean by headbutt versus
Okay, headbutt is like when you ram against yourself.
like what bighorn sheep do.
Yeah, and they can't do that because there's not enough porosity to withstand that impact.
And the skulls.
Yes,
What's
and
shown in the episode is more like a boxing match.
it
where, yeah,
was.
Sometimes they hit each other's heads,
But they never go like full blown at each other.
they don't charge.
They don't charge. There you go. They don't charge at each other.
Yes.
Sort of headbutting means that they were jousting. They were like side by side. Like, do giraffes headbutt? No, but they do that nasty thing where they slam their
Neck
necks
in,
up against. Ugh.
They
That's
neck
yucky.
they neck butt.
They neck butt. Yeah. Well, okay, but that was like 1962. Ooh, I mean, that was like 1990.
6, well, 5
Last
when it was
one?
being made.
Lost World?
Released in 97, but made in 96.
Okay, yeah. And then that was when Bacher was pretending to be a paleontological advisor, and so they killed him off. Yeah, okay. Sure, whatever. Yes, of course, Titanium. They would defend themselves against predators. I'm not arguing that. We're talking about naturalistic behaviors against each other.
So
So jousting, yes. But I'm telling you, straight up headbutting, probably not.
would they have probably used their heads as a weapon? Probably.
If they
weren't-
had to.
They just weren't doing the bighorn sheep ramming.
Yeah.
That's what her research
yeah.
is against.
Did they
My
mo-
research is against if they were headbutting each other.
Did they
Because
mostly
that's
use
not going to happen.
they mostly used their jousting in Renaissance festivals?
Only at Renaissance festivals, baby.
Yeah, you've studied.
I'll let you take it back.
Thank you. Yeah, you've studied this, the resorption for the ontogeny in cephalosaurs.
For 13 years.
Right? And also to clarify with this, in adult pachycephalosaurs, sometimes they will have pits on the dome. Her research shows that those are due to bone resorption rather than injury or illness.
And I was one of the first ones to find cancer in dinosaur bones, but that paper's coming soon.
And then to clarify a little bit over here with the Triceratops ontogeny. So with the bone resorption, you can see these little spikes on the back of the skull being actively absorbed as the animal grows into a full adult, until by the end they have a fairly smooth frill with maybe a couple bumps. We also see resorption occurring as the horns change shape as they grow. As you can see, they start out curved back like this, and as they grow, they start to curve forward a bit more.
It's the same thing that's happening in pachycephalosaurs.
Yep, it's the same process.
Osteoclasts take the bone away. Osteoblasts put the bone in a different way.
Yep. So they're redistributing the bone from certain
It's
spikes.
called bone resorption.
Yep. And yeah, we see this in trikes. We see this in pachyes.
We see this in T-Rex. We see this in
Mhm.
Parasaurolophus. I've seen it in a bunch.
And the more controversial opinion
Ugh.
that Vanessa has. So there's sort of a schism in dinosaur paleontology over whether or not the Ceritopsian Torosaurus is its own genus or if it is an elderly Triceratops.
If you look at the Museum of the Rockies, the ontogeny of baby trikes all the way through elder trikes, you can see where the frill. Can they see mine?
Yeah, they can see the mouse.
Okay. This piece starts to get flat and thin out.
So the frill changes shape after adulthood.
Yes. And see how the horns here are getting shorter and like more breaky?
Mhm.
Okay, so the frill gets longer, lankier. And you can see this at the AMNH, the American Museum of Natural History. You can see this in a lot of different places. But the frill starts to thin out and you get holes. Okay, good, Caden. So you know what I'm talking about? If you go look at that again, then you'll see where they filled it in with plaster and called it a trike. You can literally see the holes. So this is definitely just an old trike. If not, show me a Torosaurus baby and don't give me any of that Neoceratop sickly looking trike stuff. Because this is what's up. Yes, Scarface. That's what I'm telling you. The Torosaurus I call it a Toromorph. Most of us, BS.
Let's just focus on this.
Okay. Let's just focus on this. I have done this. I have done the histology.
And you've seen the bone resorption.
And I can see the bone resorption, and they turn wholly in the middle of the frill to like compensate for the way that their apricot ontogeny means growth series, essentially.
Ontogeny is how an animal changes as it grows.
Yeah, but like growth series.
Yeah.
That's an easy way to explain that.
Something else to probably emphasize is there is a smooth gradient.
And also, everywhere that I have found a Torosaurus, I have not found a baby Torosaurus.
Yes. There
Okay, then go find me a baby Torosaurus.
So there is something that is sometimes referred to as a juvenile Torosaurus
That one sickly ass Ceritopsian.
that
No.
appears to be a different genus called Ceritopsian,
Yeah.
which is a Chasmosaurian ceratopsian, but does not appear to be it doesn't appear to be an
Then
actual
prove it.
Torosaurus.
Tyrannotherium. Go find it. Show me.
Maybe a little scuffed.
All right, sorry.
But so this
It is real, but we call it a tauromorph.
So once again, this is something where it is an active schism in dinosaur paleontology. Vanessa's on one side of that schism, and she wanted to come along tonight to present her research so that all of you can see her side.
Like I've literally done this. I've literally done the histology. I will read these papers, but if you can prove to me that I'm wrong, that's my favorite part about science. What
Admitting
do
that
I
you're
always say?
Yep.
admitting that
My
you're wrong.
favorite. That's fine.
Yep.
My favorite part about science is that even if I'm proven wrong, I will accept it.
Yep.
But I need the proof.
We just need to see the
And
evidence.
that's okay.
Mhm.
I would love to be proven wrong because
Wait,
that's
wait.
what science is about.
You mean you mean that scientists admit when they're wrong? That's
That's the
crazy
purpose
talk.
of science.
I
crazy.
will admit that I'm wrong if you can give me definitive proof that I'm wrong, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
So if you can prove to me that I'm wrong, I will bow down and kiss your feet, whatever.
Yes.
The challenge has been laid out.
Then go find them.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
And for the record, anyone can learn about paleontology. Anyone can find a fossil. Something that both of us want to encourage is more lay people getting into paleontology.
So let's go.
Anyone can find a fossil and notify a museum. The museum can collect it, and then it's available for everyone to research.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here in Wyoming saving the dinosaurs when no one else is.
I mean,
That's the
I'm
big thing. Yeah, well, you're on my team.
Yeah, he's the Anakin to her Obi-Wan.
And we are doing a lot of research out here that we can't really talk about. That's another thing in science. You really don't want to talk about your research publicly until it's actually out there. But we're always excited to learn more. We're always excited to find more. And yeah, I think that's about
like
all.
the process engineer's done.
That's true. I am always excited when I find a new fossil, or when I learn something new, or
But
I'm proven.
if y'all have anything you want to share, I'm definitely not opposed to it.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna come out and say things that don't make sense without anything to back it up, then I'm gonna keep thinking what I'm thinking, and you keep thinking what you thinking.
Yep, and also, so Caden, you apologize too much. Thank you for the link to the paper you shared with us. We'll look at it after the stream's over. Like we've been saying, evidence changes our minds.
Yes, apricot. Apricot. My dog's name's Clementine, so now I'm gonna start saying, "Oh my darling, apricot."
Let's see. Does anyone else have any more questions for me or for Vanessa? Like, Vanessa,
Hey,
go ahead.
did you not listen
dear.
to me
Dear.
about bone resorption? Oh my gosh, get educated.
All right. So questions. Tag us or super chat or.
Yep. And I'll say is all this research is linked in the description. If you refresh the page, you can see the link to the presentation. You can read this, and if it convinces you, then it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Or try reading.
But we've presented the evidence for our side.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a fun question. What do you think of the sounds for T-Rex on YouTube? So, like the sounds that people make about what T-Rex might have sounded like. So, with
Come on, Cody.
T-Rex, it's
Cody.
always going to be speculation because we're never going to find a syrinx from a T-Rex.
Yeah,
I don't
probably
think
not.
ever.
I found a brain case
Well, yeah,
for a T-Rex, but that doesn't give any sound
yeah.
definition. You know?
Vocal cords in general are very hard to preserve. We
I didn't
can
say you weren't educated. I just said read.
we can make inferences though based on related animals. A lot of more
Read some
modern sounds for
papers.
T-Rex are based on crocodilians, which mostly make a bunch of really deep chest rumbling
Love you,
noises.
Tracy. I really do.
But yeah, the T-Rex noises, they're going to be speculation. They can be based on real science. Personally, I really like the deep rumbling noises. I think they're pretty cool.
So we're all of the dinosaurs we talked about today all herbivores or any carnivores?
Do we want to talk about possible omnivory? I'll pull up the packies. So
There's a possibility.
there's a possibility that that's a good picture. That some pachycephalosaurs may have been omnivorous.
But that's weird too because they have the same teeth as ankylosaurs.
Yeah.
Ankylosaurs.
Something to keep in mind is carnivory and herbivory is a spectrum. Like horses will eat chickens or
Yeah,
other birds if
yeah.
they get near their mouths. So did a pachycephalosaur sometimes eat meat? Probably. But was it a regular part of their diet? We don't know. Let's see. Our next question is...
Sound again. Probably like this. Is that good?
Again, we don't really know. The big noses they have may have been good for sound for making resonating. May have been good for making noises that could have amplified any sort of calls they could have made. We don't know.
Go visit the halls of.
But I'd be interested to learn more. Vanessa, is Nanotyrannus valid? I think that's about all we have to say on that. No, Nanotyrannus is not a valid genus. It is a juvenile/teenage T-Rex. Well, it hasn't been for like 20 years since we found Jane.
Yeah. There's that.
Did Pachycephalosaurus eat eggs?
Oh yeah. So I saw this question earlier. Do you remember when we made that joke?
Yeah.
About
Everything
them
eats
eating
eggs.
Everything eats eggs.
Eggs are a little nutritious snack that is full of calories. Everything will eat an egg.
Do you eat eggs?
I like eggs. You were allergic to eggs.
Well, just the yellow part.
I mean, that's an important part.
Yeah.
Just chicken eggs, or can you eat eat other eggs?
It's just the yellow part of any eggs. I think it's the sulfuric content.
So the yolk. So you're an egg. Your egg whites, no yolk.
Well, it's the same way that I'm lactose intolerant. I just refuse to acknowledge it.
Like with peanuts, which is gonna kill you someday.
I don't do that.
Somebody needs to protect you from yourself.
Yes.
I know.
Any more questions about dinosaurs or random stuff or random things?
Well, I think maybe we'll if any questions come in during the closing. Ooh, here's a fun one. Do you believe we'll ever find a new species of Tyrannosaur in Hell Creek?
I do. I do believe that we'll find at least a couple. Because I don't think we've gone deep enough.
In the Hell Creek?
Yes, in Hell Creek.
Okay.
I don't believe that we have gone deep enough in Hell Creek. Because when we brought the helicopter out and pulled out Yoshi,
Yeah.
I know there's more in there.
Of Yoshi or just of Ceritopsians?
Rexes.
You think there's Rexes
Are they
in that
asking
note?
about Trikes?
No, they're asking if we'll ever
Yeah,
find a new Tyrannosaur. Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think they'll be Rexes. I think one is a pretty large raptor, and then I think the
Dakota
other one,
Raptor.
yeah, whatever you want to call her.
So if you did ever come up with a new species, what would you name it? What would you name it? What was your preferred name for it if you're on Discovery?
It would depend on the animal. There's a trend in paleontology recently that I really like where people will name dinosaurs in a native language. I really like that, so I would probably try to follow that trend. So it just depends on where it's found and what it is.
There's
Ooh.
only a Mega Raptor.
No, there's no Megaraptor in Hell Creek.
Oh, said Mega. Logically like, quit.
I mean, it's possible we'll find a Megaraptor in the Hell Creek, but we don't have any from the Northern Hemisphere as far as I know. So maybe, but no idea. Let's see. Do we want to start closing out? And then if anyone asks any more questions, we can just pop them up.
Cody.
All right. So you guys want to advertise your upcoming stuff?
Sure. You have a new channel.
Well, yeah, I started a new channel.
Mm-hmm.
She's not attached to this.
It's in the description.
In the description, I started a new channel called WY Paleo, Wyoming Paleontology. It's going to be mostly Wyoming-based things.
Like geology, dinosaurs.
Geology, dinosaurs, paleontology, even turtles, crocs, and whatever the heck else.
And again, state paleontologist. So a lot of great info you're going to get from her. You also have a TikTok, right?
Well, yeah, I have my TikTok. It's DinoChick92. You can find me on there on TikTok. But it's really important to try to get this YouTube channel up and going.
Right.
So that way I can help save the dinosaurs of Wyoming, which is my whole goal. Yeah. That's everything I've ever wanted, is saving dinosaurs. So this is pretty important. So if you could go follow me over there. I've only got one little time-lapse video up because I literally just started it today. And then I'm going to have more videos.
More coming soon.
You know, as I get her going.
Oh, well, you have at least one new subscriber. That's good.
Woo! Who's that?
Logan, your friend. Sarcastic during and Caden, too.
Let's go, boys!
Let's see. As for my channel... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, when I started this, you had 10 subscribers, but now you're up to like 20. You doubled your subscriber count.
No, are you serious?
You have a small classroom following you now.
No, Cody, it's not true.
Yep. We have a question that were compies venomous?
No.
We don't.
There's no way to know that.
Well, there are ways to know, but we don't
have any evidence for it.
We don't have any evidence for any venomous dinosaurs.
Whatever. But if y'all could go follow me over on WY Paleo, I'm trying to save the dinosaurs here. And by following me, you could help me save them too.
Yep. And going to be putting out a ton of educational content on some very
Yeah.
interesting like rock formations and dinosaurs.
Yeah, and I might record. Go visit the schools,
Yeah.
and I go give them talks, and I give them, like nice talks. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. Going to be a lot of great
But
stuff.
I would really appreciate it.
As for my channel, I'm working on getting more educational content out there. I'd like to talk about a bunch of different dinosaurs, a bunch of different fossils and rocks. I'm starting a new series where I just talk about the rock formations in this area because there's a lot of neat history here and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows about it yet.
Right.
But that's pretty much all for me, I think.
Like,
How about you, Vandalia?
As for me, I am currently uploading a mini series about the U.S. Constitution because I figured in this political climate, people need to be reminded of it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Other than that, I am currently streaming on and off on Twitch. Anybody like gaming content, go check it out there.
Yeah,
And
I saw when we started that your Twitch says you're playing World of Warcraft.
You're playing WoW?
yes, technically
Heck
I'm not
yeah.
currently doing it right now, but I don't know. My Discord, for some reason, is saying I'm always playing it, even when I'm not.
Huh.
But
yeah.
I don't know. Name a paleontologist she could probably introduce you to.
24 see if I have space.
So I don't know if you'll be in the next episode, but we got to talk about what next episode will be. Any play in particular you guys want to talk about? You and Chad, or you guys?
Well, I think for the ornithischians, the only group we have left is the ornithopods. So yeah, it looks like she knows Tracy Ford.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only ones left are the ornithopods. So your duckbills, Tenontosaurus, which I can say might have found a few out here. I don't know. You wouldn't happen to know anything about any super ducks, would you?
Yeah, on our next stream, maybe.
Well, they're just with ornithopods.
If she gets enough subscribers, we can stream from her channel too next time.
That's true. You should be approved for streaming next time we do this.
Yeah, so super duck.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to eventually get to my favorite dinosaurs growing up was the Allosaurus. Allosaurus, that was my favorite growing up.
Okay. I can't blame you for that.
Hey, I grew up in the 80s.
Talk about some Allosaurus things. So
I grew up in the 80s.
You grew up during the good time.
Well, I grew up before they even knew it. I grew up before the asteroid was a thing. Was officially a thing.
Oh, before we found the Chicxulub impact crater?
Yeah, so I was in the pre-days.
Logan.
Yep, he's got a thing he wants to talk about. He's got a topic for a future video.
Iguanodon, yeah.
Come on, I'm going to talk about Gryposaurus. Yep, you'll show them. I knew he was going to say Gryposaurus.
So any of you have a
thing is the Gryposaur.
I know. I'm saying we can talk about Maiasaur too.
So if any of you have a thing that want to talk about a topic, put in the comments below in the after we go thing, and we'll eventually get to it.
Well, tell us your favorite. Tell us your
dinosaurs.
Tell us your favorite Marginocephalian in the comments. That'd be appropriate for this episode.
Yeah, I told you, Logan. What the? You already know. I didn't say a bad word. You already know. You already know about duck butt.
Yeah, who knows? We might have some dig site pictures we can show.
Oh my gosh.
We got our oldest here, 64.
1964. Wow.
Wow.
So is that
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
are you a boomer or an Xer?
Oh boy. All right.
All right.
Edmontosaurus says fine. No, she's not. She's boring.
Edmontosaurus is big.
I'm just kidding. I love her.
All right.
Loki Ceratops.
Well,
Okay.
I think
told
our
you Loki Ceratops.
I think our outro has gone on for about 20 minutes,
All right,
so we
so-
should probably wrap it up.
Okay, you have a catchphrase. You guys have an official catchphrase now for ending streams.
Yeah. Can you dig it?
Okay, okay, Booker T.
You say Booker T like Booker T Washington?
No, is a wrestler in WCW and WWE. That was his catchphrase.
Maybe not use that then.
I just say have a good evening. Hope you learned something. I'm
Yep.
kind of boring.
No. No. Dig it.
As I always say, never stop learning. Enjoy the randomness. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
That's cute. Okay, what about
Hey, thanks for watching my podcast or Let's Play. If you want to help support my channel, you can make a monthly or yearly pledge on Patreon, or just a one-time donation on Vimeo, PayPal, or Cash App. For those looking for something to wear, we have some shirts, hats, and other stylish things in our merch store. If you enjoy gaming, you can always follow and sub to me on Twitch. For those who don't want to give money, I have an Amazon and Steam wish list who can help the channel out. And of course, just liking, leaving a comment, and sharing this video helps more than you can imagine. And always remember to never stop learning and enjoy the randomness.